By mid-2023, Pakistan was on the verge of default. Foreign reserves had dropped below $4 billion, inflation had soared to 38%, and the state was struggling to pay for even basic imports. A year later, reserves have risen, inflation has fallen, and the immediate crisis seems over. But Pakistan's recovery hasn't come from reform, it's come from rescue. Creditors have rolled over debt, the IMF has stepped in again, and foreign allies have provided fresh support. China continues to extend loans to keep a strategic hedge against India, and Saudi Arabia is deepening its support in exchange for Pakistan's nuclear protection at a time when Israel is more assertive and the United States retreats from the region. In this video, we'll examine how Pakistan has once again relied on its geopolitical value to avoid reform and keep a failing economic model alive. By June 2023, Pakistan was staring into the financial abyss. Foreign reserves had collapsed to less than $4 billion, barely enough to cover 2 weeks of imports. With $30 billion in financing needs for the year and $15 to $20 billion in debt payments due annually for the next 5 years, default seemed inevitable. Yet somewhat miraculously, Pakistan has pulled back from the edge. Reserves have climbed to $14.5 billion. Inflation, which peaked at a staggering 38% in June 2023, has crashed to 4.1%. A semblance of normalcy and stability has returned to the nation. So what happened? Did Pakistan finally fix its broken economy? Not quite. Pakistan's recovery rests on one critical lifeline: bilateral and multilateral creditors, who hold 85% of Pakistan's external debt, agreed to roll over principal repayments. The debt wall hasn't disappeared, it's just been moved. Pakistan also got lucky when global oil prices normalized, slashing the import bill and allowing reserves to recover. And in September 2024, Pakistan secured its 24th IMF bailout. But the fundamental problem remains unchanged. Pakistan's policymakers artificially prop up the rupee to keep imports cheap, borrowing foreign exchange rather than earning it. This creates an uncompetitive economy, trapped in a vicious cycle. Interest payments on public debt now consume nearly 2/3 of government revenue, leaving almost nothing for education, healthcare, or infrastructure. When oil prices spike or foreign borrowing dries up, Pakistan's perpetually low reserves collapse and the economy crashes. Whilst Pakistan has averted disaster, it hasn't addressed the underlying issue: elite control of the economy. In fact, it's gotten worse. The military hasn't just maintained its grip, it's tightened it, effectively taking control of the country. There sits an elite class at the apex of every economy. As a rule of thumb, the more productive and entrepreneurial the elite, the more dynamic and robust an economy is. If the elite becomes more productive, everyone gains. India's elite, such as Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani, sit at the head of vast corporate industrial empires, whilst America's elite innovate and create entirely new economic fields, such as space travel. Pakistan's elite, on the other hand, earn from unproductive enterprises such as land, housing schemes, commodities like sugar and flour, and cornering other domestic markets. Just look at the list of the richest Pakistanis in the world. They've either built their empires abroad, like Shahid Khan, who founded a world-leading automotive parts manufacturer in America, or they're heirs to political dynasties whose fortunes stem from crony capitalism and corruption. Even the industrialists on Pakistan's rich list are unproductive. Muhammad Manshah's Nishat Group has cornered Pakistan's domestic markets in textiles and cement, protected by high tariffs rather than competing globally through exports or innovation. The elite benefit from military rule by entering business partnerships with the military at the expense of the wider population. Military rule with no accountability or transparency has long encouraged rent-seeking rather than genuine competition, and the military's deep involvement in Pakistan's governance has ensured this pattern endures. Take a brief political history of Pakistan, where no prime minister has ever completed a term. Nawaz Sharif was forcibly removed from power in 1999 by military dictator Pervez Musharraf, who ruled until 2007. After a short interval, Nawaz Sharif regained power in 2013, but was removed in what can be called a soft coup in 2017, where the military pulled strings to jail Sharif and install Imran Khan as Prime Minister in 2018. Imran Khan's rule lasted until 2022, when he was removed in another soft coup after the military withdrew support for Khan's government in favor of, you guessed it, Nawaz Sharif's Muslim League Party, led by his brother Shehbaz Sharif and daughter Mariam Nawaz. Years of military rule and interference have allowed the Pakistan Army to create a corporate empire boasting revenues of billions of dollars. This empire includes 2 of the top 10 companies by market capitalization on the Karachi Stock Exchange, Fauji Fertilizer and Mari Gas. The crown jewel is the Defence Housing Authority, the leading real estate developer in Pakistan, handling the most desirable properties in Lahore, Islamabad and Karachi. The military acquires land at low costs, often from the government it oversees, and sells it at huge profits which are barely taxed. Since the imprisonment of Imran Khan, the military's control of Pakistan has tightened to the point it has become a quasi-dictatorship. Field Marshal Asim Munir has effectively taken over foreign policy, accompanying the Prime Minister on nearly all foreign trips, while also taking control of the economy. Munir co-leads the Special Investment Facilitation Council alongside the Prime Minister, which serves as a single window to facilitate investment, but effectively puts the Army Chief in charge of economic decision-making. SIFC initiatives, led mostly by serving and retired officers, include hotel developments in Pakistan's northern mountains and schemes to exploit mineral and gas reserves along the Afghan frontier. The military has also been aggressively expanding its business empire. This year, mass protests erupted in Sindh over a $720 million canal project that would divert water upstream to eastern Pakistan, where Green Pakistan, a military-run agricultural company, plans to turn desert into farmland to attract Gulf investment. While proponents argue the Army's role is crucial, cutting through red tape, settling political squabbles, and drawing foreign investment, this expanded control is already destroying investor confidence. The military has also recently taken control of power contract renegotiations, conducting talks at military bases where executives are intimidated into accepting new terms. A decade ago, Pakistan lured billions into its power sector with dollar-indexed returns and government guarantees, ending the blackouts that paralyzed its economy. Now those same companies are being forced to accept rupee payments at artificially low exchange rates, effectively slashing their profits. Pakistan's spy chief Nadeem Anjum personally oversaw the renegotiations, prompting the German embassy to write directly to Munir, bypassing the Foreign Office and Prime Minister, to protest how military involvement and intimidation was destroying German investor confidence. One businessman whose power contract was terminated withdrew from bidding for Pakistan International Airlines, the loss-making state carrier, while 2 other investors now insist on partnering with the military's Fauji Foundation as insurance to even consider bidding. While forcing companies out of expensive contracts provides short-term relief, the long-term damage is devastating. Microsoft, Yamaha, Shell, Uber, and Procter & Gamble have already fled Pakistan, and why would any foreign company invest when contracts can be renegotiated at gunpoint? The result: domestic elites fill the vacuum, protected by tariffs from any competition, further entrenching Pakistan's unproductive economy. Pakistan's political system ensures this dysfunction continues. No prime minister has ever completed a term. The military simply swaps one set of corrupt politicians for another to maintain its grip on power. The National Assembly remains packed with feudal landlords, political dynasties, and business elites who all profit from an economy based on connections, not competition. Consider agriculture. Despite millions of acres of arable land, Pakistan remains a net food importer because sugar mill owners in parliament ensure 2.5 million acres grow water-intensive sugarcane in a water-scarce country. Protected by high tariffs, these elites have cornered the sugar market, reaping enormous profits while the nation imports wheat and rice. The ruling elite's incentives are completely misaligned with national development. They're enriching themselves by extracting billions from an unproductive system. How has Pakistan survived 23 economic collapses? Not through reform, but by repeatedly monetizing its geostrategic location. During the 1980s Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, Pakistan earned billions in US aid. When the Soviets withdrew, aid stopped and the economy crumbled, until 9/11 brought American forces back to Afghanistan, and with them billions more in assistance. Today, China views Pakistan as a strategic bargain, a low-cost option to keep India threatened with a potential two-front war. Since 2013, Pakistan has been the largest recipient of Chinese arms exports, with Beijing helping build heavy mechanical complexes and defense production units. Unlike America, China has never cut supplies or imposed sanctions. For China, letting Pakistan default is inconceivable. It would lose its most useful counterweight to India. Meanwhile, Pakistan's newest lifeline comes from the Gulf. After October 7th, Israel's retaliation extended across Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iran, even striking Qatar, where US military bases sat idle as their host nation came under fire. Gulf monarchies watching this unfold are now pivoting to Pakistan, the only Muslim nuclear power, understanding they need security arrangements Washington clearly won't provide. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have signed a strategic mutual defense agreement that reportedly extends Pakistan's nuclear umbrella to the kingdom. It's a transaction born of mutual desperation. Pakistan brings nuclear weapons and the world's sixth largest military to a nation that struggles to defend itself, while Saudi Arabia provides financial lifelines to a country perpetually on the brink of default. Other Gulf monarchies are now exploring membership in this pact, potentially placing Islamabad at the center of a Muslim defense alliance, bringing with it an economic windfall. Once again, Pakistan sells its strategic value rather than reforms its economy. China bankrolls it to threaten India, Saudi Arabia pays for nuclear protection, America subsidizes it to prevent nuclear weapons falling into jihadist hands. Each patron ensures Pakistan stays afloat, barely functional but never forced to change. This endless safety net allows Pakistan's elite to avoid the painful reforms every other developing nation has endured. They can keep extracting wealth from their broken system, confident that someone will always pay the bills. Eventually, even strategic geography won't be enough. Pakistan will have to build a real economy. The only question is, will it be too late? I've been your host, Albert. If you have enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. Until next time.